What up, Wizards? It's Deb from The Place with a wild tale for you today, because a few weeks ago I woke to find a mystery on my very front doorstep in the form of this box. And so, of course, naturally, I immediately started pulling a Brad Pitt from Seven. What's in the box, indeed? Only this time, luckily, it wasn't any part of Gwyneth Paltrow. Now, if you didn't get that reference, I'm sorry. Not because you didn't get the reference. I'm sorry that we now live in a time where I have to assure you that movies used to be good and watchable. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Once I convinced myself that this was not a bomb or poison or something, I decided to open it up, which was good for me. This time around, at least, because this big old box contained this other box. Sorry if that wasn't a particularly smooth transition visually. This time I'm actually sorry, but either way, this begged yet another question. What's in the box? Part 2. I didn't have to wait too long to have it explained to me, because also contained within the big box was a handwritten letter. You don't see those every day. Those are cool to get. By longtime superfan, Actual Cat Lady. You see, it turned out that her and a bunch of other members of the unofficial Mtg Discord, link in the description, they're good people, go check them out, have been working on an Oathbreaker deck for me for the last couple of months. What's Oathbreaker? I'm actually really glad you asked. Here's a quick less than 1 minute primer. You see, it's kind of like Commander, don't leave yet though. It is a multiplayer singleton format where you can only play one of each card, but players start at 20 life and you play 60 card decks. Now, the big similarity to Commander is that you are operating with a command zone, but rather than a legendary creature, you'll choose your favorite planeswalker to put in the command zone. But there's one more catch, and that's what makes this format really interesting. You also get a signature spell, which goes in your command zone. And in this format, both your planeswalker commander and your signature spell work the way your commander would in EDH, meaning that each time that you cast them from the command zone beyond the first, you're going to pay 2 extra mana for them. That's basically it. So, y'all caught up? Good. You see, this is a cool format. The addition of a signature spell makes for some Rick James freaky stuff you can do in deck building, and that's exactly where I want to be. But now that you know how the format works, it actually begs even more questions, an enigma shrouded in mystery inside of a puzzle. You see, you might be asking yourself, what did the biggest fans of the channel choose as my planeswalker? Now, here's where things take a turn for the existential, because they ended up choosing me. You see, Dev the Favorite, that's very cute. We are your favorite Magic Channel's favorite Magic Channel, is 5 mana, 2, a white, a black, and an Orzhov hybrid for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. When he comes into play, you can +2 him if you feel like it. Now you got a 7 loyalty planeswalker, and that +2 will get you 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink, of course. And if you zero Dev, you'll be able to sack a creature and draw a card. But if you want to emblem D over here, he only costs 4 loyalty to emblem, so you can do that when he comes into play and stay on the table. And you'll get a little Blood Artist emblem. Whenever a creature you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. So I'm just Sephiroth then. I guess I can live with that. They're not the same card, but there are some striking similarities between the two things. Although I will say that the moment I get my hands on a copy of that Sephiroth, he's going right into this bad boy, even though he doesn't work with the deck's signature spell. And you may have asked yourself too, what's that? You see, it turns out this time it's Raise the Past. Again, you think these people know me a little bit? You know, I'll say that if I was going to build an Oathbreaker deck for myself to do the things I like to do, then this would be on the very short list of signature spells I would consider. So again, am I that transparent? Good job knowing me, everybody. But obviously, this has been supercharged in this deck. You're telling me that you can cast Raise the Past 3 times in a game? It's just like always in your hand? And sure, it's going to cost 8 mana to cast it that 3rd time, but it really should have won you the game the 2nd time anyway. Again, this deck is more or less built around this card, even more so in some ways than the Planeswalker, and it definitely shows through. This is a very good card in the kind of deck I'm about to show you. Now, if you couldn't tell by the Planeswalker, this is obviously an Aristocrats deck, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But besides just Dev and Raise the Past, there are, of course, 58 other cards in the deck. So let's look at those. We've got Blood Artist, and as a matter of fact, we've got a whole battery of Blood Artists in here. Thanks for the really, really cool art, y'all. But there's also Zulaport Cutthroat, as you may expect, Vron Executioner Thane in here, and we've got Vengeful Blood Witch, the newest of these Blood Artist effects. But that doesn't mean we're done with them. We've also got Cruel Celebrant in here, along with Marionette Apprentice, and of course, my fiance, Ellis Ilkor Sadistic Pilgrim. But we're actually not done with Blood Artist effects because we've also got Bastion of Remembrance, my preview card for Ikoria, if you'll remember, and of course Funeral Room, which is also another way not only of getting these death triggers, but also bringing all of our stuff back from the graveyard. But if we're going to trigger all of our Blood Artist effects, we need fodder creatures, and there are plenty of those in the deck, starting with a few different Doom Traveler effects like Infestation Sage, the newest and one of the best of these, but Shambling Gas, which will also get us a treasure token some of the time. I like that. Hunted Witness in here as a fake Doom Traveler, and then Doom Traveler as, of course, the OG Doom Traveler. And this one's even shiny. That's pretty nice, but we've also got fodder effects like Bitter Blossom in here. That's always cool to have. Thanks, guys. And an Ophiomancer, which will make a different snake every single turn, so long as we can get rid of the snake. And it's not too hard to do. There's also Teysa Orzhov Scion in here, which is a really, really good sacrifice outlet. But apart from being a sack outlet that doubles as a removal spell, she also creates fodder in the form of more tokens for us. So, heck yeah, Teysa, I need to put one of you in my normal Aristocrats deck for Commander. I've already got the 4-mana Teysa in there. Don't have the 3-mana Teysa in there, so I might port this one right over. But there's also Pawn of Ulamog, which not only gives us more fodder, but gives us more mana, which is something we want. And Denethor Ruling Steward, which is a sack outlet that is also kind of a Blood Artist that also kind of makes fodder. A lot of cool things for an Aristocrats deck on this card. But we've also got Gather the Townsfolk, a little 2 mana for a couple of 1/1s. That's good fodder right there. But we're also playing some creatures that we just should play in this format, like Knight of the White Orchid. Again, this one's shiny. How awesome is that? It's probably going on a few of my Commander decks. Thank you, guys. And then Vampire Hexmage, which is specifically good in Oathbreaker. It's decent in Commander, period, but this is great in Oathbreaker because it just kills your opponent's Commander on a body. But we got some more creatures in this deck. We obviously have to play a lot of them in an Aristocrats deck. So we're also running a Sir Conrad the Grim, one of my favorite dudes of all time. But even though he might cost a few mana, he's amazing in a deck like this. Just the best Blood Artist you could ever ask for. But we've also got a Murderous Rider in here as a removal spell with lifelink to gain us some of the life back that we're otherwise losing. And if we ever sacrifice him, he just goes right back into our deck. Why not? Apart from that, we've got some removal spells like Get Lost in here. Again, thanks for a copy of Get Lost. I actually did not own one before y'all sent me one, so I'm very happy about that. Thank you so much. Damn is also in here. Damn, son, where'd you find this? This is destroy target creature or destroy all the creatures at Wrath of God levels, mana cost. So that's a very good spell to have for a deck like this, but so is Fell the Propane, giving us a little, did I say propane? Fell the Profane. What am I, Hank Hill? Fell the Profane gives us an MDFC that's also a creature removal spell, but maybe the best one in the deck is Rite of Oblivion, which allows us to sacrifice creatures to exile stuff, and we get to do it twice. Now, Chthonian Nightmare is one of the most pushed cards in this deck. It might not be Recurring Nightmare, but it's the next best thing, and sometimes it's even better because it's only 2 mana to cast. And don't be deterred by the fact this has energy costs and stuff on it. You get 3 energy when it comes into play. Pop it back to your hand, cast it again for just 2 mana. That's 3 more energy. And basically, this allows you to use your energy to get creatures back from your graveyard. That is awesome. This creates enough energy to get just about any creature in the deck back from the yard when it comes into play. And sometimes you get a 2-drop back and you'll be banking energy for the next time you cast it. That's not too bad. There are actually some other decks this could go really well in just because it's a cheap enchantment that pops back to your hand. You get more Eerie triggers, get more Constellation triggers, more Enchantress triggers. That would be sick, but in a deck like this, it's just a way to keep all of our most important pieces in place at a really efficient cost. This is a great card right here, but if we want some other ways of getting stuff back from the yard, we've got Savine's Reclamation. Basically, for 3 mana, we can get the same mana value in permanent out of our graveyard, which is pretty sick. But if we want to pay 5 to flash this back, well, now we can get extra mana value off of, a couple of permanents coming out of our graveyard. So that's also pretty cool, considering this gets just about any permanent in the deck. And this can even save a Chthonian Nightmare from the yard. You'll take that some of the time. But we've also got not only Village Rites, but Corrupted Conviction in the deck. Basically the same card for all intents and purposes, but 1 mana to draw 2, and all you got to do is come down on some fodder. That's a great deal. Apart from that, though, we've got the Battle of Bywater. This is an amazing little card for this deck, dude. 3 mana, 1 and 2 white for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. Then create a food token for each creature you control. So you should still control a fair number of creatures. Get some food tokens for your efforts, but best thing about this is that it's mostly a one-sided sweeper in this deck. There are not a whole lot of creatures we lose to this. And if anybody at the table is trying to play like Gruul Monsters or something like that, then I guess they feel really bad that we have this in our deck. This is a sick little Magic card, but we've also got Glasswing Grace in here, kind of finishing off the main deck, non-lands. This is a great little MDFC for a deck like this, or any Orzhov deck, but Talisman of Hierarchy is a little bit of rock. Commander Sphere is a little bit of rock. We got Arcane Signet in here, as you might expect, and then we get to the lands, and they ended up sending us some pretty cool lands. Demolition Field, Orzhova, the Church of Deals, can ping the opponents. Command Tower, of course. Another Command Tower. This is not a 61 card deck with 2 Command Towers in it. They just sent me an extra Command Tower they thought was really cool, and it is. I think it's also really cool. This is Jurassic Park one, and that's really, really dope. But Takenuma Abandoned Mire is also in here. Desolate Mire is in here. Concealed Courtyard, Caves of Koilos, Bright Climb Pathway, not a cheap card. Fetid Heath is in here. Isolated Chapel, Shattered Sanctum, Silent Clearing, Marsh Flats, again, a real, actual copy of Marsh Flats. They love me. And a Shadowy Backstreet, in case you don't know. This card's like $25 right now. But apart from that, a Consortium of Planes I really like from 3rd edition. They really do know me here, and some 5th edition planes. That looks great. You know, we've got some swamps, full art swamp here, and then probably the best thing in the entire package, Ziggy tokens. They know that we're going to be making 1/1 cat tokens with the Planeswalker dubs, so not only did we get this sick Ziggy token right here making that face, but we also got this sick Ziggy token right here making that face. So these are maybe 2 of my most cherished things in the entire world now. Thank you very much for the Ziggy tokens. However, there are also some proxies in the deck labeled with this sticky note. These are in fact proxies, but these also go in the deck, like this Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth. It's hard to say. Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth. Goosebumps. This is like a $50 card right now, so yeah, please print a copy of that. Same thing with the Godless Shrine from the Zendikar Expeditions. Yeah, print that one out. We got a Vault of Champions from the same, line. Yes, that's way too expensive. Thank you for printing that. Iganjo's Seat of the Empire, a card that I will be playing in other Commander decks. I needed both of these, the Takenuma and the Iganjo. Appreciate that. Charismatic Conqueror is a ridiculous card for something like this, man. Whenever an artifact or creature enters the battlefield untapped under an opponent's control, they may tap that permanent. If they don't, you create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. How insane fodder is that for a deck like this? Even better in a lot of ways than a card like Bitter Blossom or Dreadhorde Invasion or Skrelv's Hive, right? This is going to actually create multiple creatures over a turn cycle for you some of the time. And they have lifelink too. That's wild. Just a really good card here. We've also got Skull Clamp, a card that needs to be in any serious person's Aristocrats deck. You got to have a Skull Clamp, right? We have a Jacked Rabbit in here. In case you've never seen this, 2 mana and X, one of it's white, for a 1/2 Rabbit Warrior with Ravenous. He enters with X +1/+1 counters on him. If X is 5 or more, draw a card when he enters. Whenever Jacked Rabbit attacks, create a number of 1/1 white rabbit creature tokens equal to Jacked Rabbit's power. Again, you want some fodder, just cast Jack Rabbit for X = 3, 5 total mana. Get a bunch of little foddery dudes in there, attack in, and suddenly you're going to get like 4 tokens, you know what I mean, just because he attacked. Again, turn over turn, this can create a ridiculous amount of like insurmountable value. I like the snowball effect of this guy, and I had not seen him. I believe he's in like Bloomborough Commander, if I'm not mistaken. I had not seen this guy before you guys sent me this deck, so this dude's awesome. There's also Alinda the Dusk Rose, which should go again in any serious person's Aristocrats deck in Commander. This not only gets huge and has lifelink, but when it dies, it creates a bunch of little tokens for us. But apart from that, there's a Meathook Massacre. Again, yes, I can understand why you would print that out with your printer. That makes plenty of sense, but it's just a kill card for the deck. Man, I'm telling you, on Shuffle Up and Play, if I had gotten around to my next turn and played that Meathook Massacre, be a completely different story we'd be telling. But last card in the deck is Yawgmoth Thran Physician. 4 mana, 2 and 2 black for a 2/4 legendary human cleric. Pro humans, pay 1 life, sack another creature, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature and draw a card. Pay 2 black mana and discard a card to freaking proliferate. So that's pretty wild. In a deck like this, that can do some fun stuff. But this is just another, effectively free sacrifice outlet that can actually destroy our opponent's creatures. Oh, what a deck. Again, just thanks to Kane for designing the deck. You're a good deck builder, my friend. You really are. But thanks to everyone in the Discord for putting this sucker together, man. This is a wild looking pile. But that's Itsky Lewitsky for the most part. Just another big thanks, and I'm probably going to give 2 or 3 more before the end of the video, to all the people who took time out of their day and cards out of their collection, and in some cases money out of their pockets, to provide me with this incredible surprise. Just the most meaningful thing that I've ever received from fans as a content creator. And just to get real for a second, this kind of helped me a lot, y'all. I get emails and comments, DMs on Twitter, chats on Twitch and stuff like that say, you know, you got me through this, you got me through that. I broke my leg and I watched you laid up in the hospital. You made me feel better. You know, I went through a family separation last year and I watched your content to make me feel better during rough times. And I get stuff like this on a pretty constant basis. And it does make me feel good that I'm making you guys feel better. But occasionally I need to remind you how good you are for me. There have been a lot of times over the last couple of years where, again, getting pretty real here, I have had a lot of thoughts about not just the state of Magic the Gathering, but the state of the channel and sort of what I am and mean to the community and all of that stuff. And there are times when you have like the best timing in the world, because when I'm the most down on myself and when I don't know if I can continue, like emotionally, physically, mentally, financially even, you know, often that's when I hear from you all. And again, impeccable timing. You have no idea how many times you've kind of pulled me back from the abyss with stuff like this. See, this was a reminder, and I need them periodically, that what we're trying to do around here means a lot to at least some people. You know, for a lot of y'all, I've been running 5 days a week in the background for the last 10 years. And, you know, I've gotten you through this, I've gotten you through that. You've gotten me through a lot more. And I don't know how many of you really realize that. Stuff like this just really lifts my spirits. Usually when I need it the most. Again, you guys have amazing timing, but it just makes me feel like I want to keep doing this until I'm like 80 years old, right? I've lost the rest of my hair. Whatever I have left is completely gray. It's going out of my ears and my nose. And I'm like, I remember when Siege Rhino was good. We're just reviewing cards that are like, you know, 1 mana, draw 3, deal 10 to each opponent or something like that. That's what Power Creep's going to be doing by then. And I'm just like, this card's not even good nowadays. The nurse hasn't brought me lunch yet. We're going to get there together. Have we returned to Lorwyn yet? I'm going to have all kinds of questions then. I'm still going to be an inquisitive old man. But either way, guys, this journey over the last 10 years, as corny as that sounds, has meant even more to me than it does to a lot of you. And I just really want to hammer home how much you do for me on a daily basis. Because again, I don't know that you know. And now you've got me wanting to play Oathbreaker, you bunch of jerks. I've never played a game of Oathbreaker before, and I still haven't yet, even though I got this deck a while back. So maybe we could do like a Discord Oathbreaker tournament or something. I don't know. Put it together. Look, again, if you have not checked out the unofficial Mtg Discord, and how would you have heard of it if you hadn't like been on the streams or whatever? So I don't blame you if you haven't seen it yet. I will leave a link in the description. It is run by the nicest people you'll ever meet in your entire life. I have been very fortunate because I am one of the 4 YouTubers on the face of the planet who have cultivated a really, really nice audience, just full of like good, kind people. And the Discord are the goodest, kindest of all of these people. These are genuinely some of the coolest and best people I have ever met in my entire life. So again, if you haven't checked out the Discord yet, I'm sure they'd like a few more guests. And as usual, do the YouTube stuff on your way out. I'm not going to belabor it too much this time. We have a Patreon, blah, 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 and link in the description. But again, I mostly want to focus on how amazing the unofficial Mtg Discord is, and not just them, but the rest of y'all. Again, I get uplifting comments every single day. I'm one of the few YouTubers that doesn't have to worry about checking his comments section, amazingly. So just want to thank you all for that too. But just thanks for being on this ride with me for the last 10 years. Here's to another 20, guys. But anyway, I'm Dev from The Place. Thanks for watching, Wizards. Spread love and be kind.